Hello, and welcome to a Community Legacy League deck tech. So this is the deck that I've been playing in the Community Legacy League the past 4 or 5 weeks now, and I am currently on a roll with this deck. I am currently uh, 15-1 with this deck in the Community Legacy League. So this is Temur Delver, and this is a variant that is a little bit more mid-rangey than typical. It's not as low to the ground as some of the old variants of Temur Delver used to be. So let's go over the list. So this deck runs 8 fetch lands, so you can split them up as long as they're blue fetch lands. I currently run 4 Flooded Strand and then 4 Wooded Foothills, because Foothills actually gets both Tropical Island and Volcanic Island. But you can make any blue fetch land you want, or any combination of these to make 8 fetch lands. It's totally fine. I run 3 Tropical Islands, 3 Volcanic Islands, and then of course 4 Wasteland. The threat package in this deck is a little different. Typically it's 4 Mongoose, 4 Delver, 4 Goyf. In this deck though, I'm running 4 Delver Secrets, 4 Tarmogoyf, and then I split 2 and 2 between Dreadhorde Arcanist and Hooty Mandrills. Dreadhorde Arcanist is probably one of the best creatures in these mid-rangey matchups. With Uro and Snowco running around, it is landing a Dreadhorde and then activating it the following turn is a big deal. It just gives you the card advantage. It just with your blast in the sideboard, it sometimes can be an extra removal spell. It can turn around and actually do a ton of damage if you bolt Dreadhorde bolt. It kind of gives you that Snapcaster feel, but the card's absolutely great. Hooty Mandrills. I'm a big fan of Hooty Mandrills right now because in the world of Okos, a 4/4 Trampler beats a 3/3. It's just helps get over top of these 3/3s that keep coming out. And then, of course, we are playing probably the greatest Planeswalker ever, in my opinion. Secondary to Jace the Mind Sculptor, of course. But I'm a big, big fan of Oko Thief of Crowns. Oko fits so perfectly into this deck at the 3 mana spot. It just allows you to go toe-to-toe with just about any deck in the format. It's a threat, it's a removal, it's just one of the best Planeswalkers ever, and it's extremely hard to deal with, especially when you start playing in the Snowco mirrors. A lot of times they don't have good ways to get rid of it. Their answers are like Snapcaster Mage, and with Red Elemental Blast in the sideboard, we have the option to kind of beat them up a little bit in the Oko mirror. Our threat package, our counter package is amazing. In Delver decks, it's so good. We have 4 Force of Will, 4 Daze. I do have a 1-off Spell Snare. It just kind of gives you that. It just steals the playback when you're on the draw. I'm a big fan of Spell Snare on the draw. It just counters that 2 mana spell for 1 mana. Then if they force it, you daze back. They're down 3 cards. It just does a lot. Spell Pierce, 1 mana. Counter spell. It's great in these matchups where Planeswalkers are so low to the ground. Spell Pierce is just a phenomenal card. And then, of course, my favorite Magic card of all time, Stifle. Stifle, to me, is just, it has an entire aspect of the card where it plays a sub-game. As soon as they know that you're on Stifle, the game changes. You kind of dictate the pace of play, because if you leave a fetch land up, then they leave a fetch land up. They don't play their spell for 2 turns, whether you have a Stifle or not. Stifle is also really good at baiting out Wastelands. If you play your, let's say for instance I have Tropical Island in my opening hand, I just play Tropical Island. A lot of times that signals to your opponent that your hand is land light. So in Delvers, you really want to get their mana. So if they Wasteland you, you can Stifle the Wasteland on turn 1, and then you go to your second turn with 2 mana, they go with none. Just a great. In the sideboard, I'm running 2 Blue Elemental Blasts because in our Legacy League, we have a decent amount of burn. So I did have 3 Red Elemental Blasts, but we actually have a decent. There's not a lot of blue decks in our league, so I put in Blue Elemental Blast and an additional one. Raise and Borrow, great versus like depths. It just sometimes it's a great tempo play to get rid of these additional problem permanents that you can counter on the following turn or just buy you a turn. Rough Tumble is in there for the creature matchups. Maverick, Elves, etc. We have, I think, at least one Maverick player and one Elves player that play consistently, so this is a good card to have access to. Grafdigger's Cage. I like Grafdigger's Cage even though it's a Nombo with Dreadhorde Arcanist because Uro is just that card, when it lands, you can't beat it, so sometimes having a cage is just extremely important. Winter Orb, it's crucial in these Ancient Tomb decks to have this as a way to beat them. Same thing with Snoka, you have to have this in order to beat them. Veil Summer, big fan of Veil Summer when it comes into the Simic mirror matches. Whether it's, Snowco, 4-color, whatever, Veil Summer is great at ending counter wars in your favor. Collector Oof, I like Collector Oof a lot more than Null Rod, simply because it's a threat as well. Surgical Extraction, keep that because you have to have interaction on turn 0 when you're facing Reanimator. Clothis has been one of my new favorite cards. I'm absolutely in love with this card. It's very good against Miracles or like any of the Snowco variants. It's just been a real powerhouse. Huge fan. Braid, that card speaks for itself. It's just flexible, creature removal, or answer Chalice. And then Red Elemental Blast. This card is just great in the mirror matches when you're trying to beat up a blue deck. And it's really good with Dreadhorde, so if you counter a spell and then flashback or Dreadhorde and then destroy a permanent, it's just, it's hard for them to come back. So I'll be posting a lot of videos with this deck in the coming weeks, especially from the Community Legacy League. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the deck. We'll see you at the Community Legacy League every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m.